So this is really a case study on the coolest project I've ever worked on. I'm David Bach, and this is a real JRuby, and we're co-chairless. So the history of this project. In the early 90s, the Soviet Union collapsed, and a bunch of small former territories, small independent nations, or independent areas out of the Soviet Union, became nations. They were forming new governments. And all of these borders that were previously these conglomeration of nation states became countries. All of a sudden, they had borders that they wanted to control. They had faltering economies. They had amazing infrastructure for building stuff, particularly military stuff. And the countries wanted to be able to sell that stuff officially, legally, in the world market. They wanted to be able to control their borders so they could tax it. And it was in the U.S. interests to make sure that that stuff was controlled, and there was also UN and NATO forces involved in all this as well. So, when you think about what these countries had in terms of border control, it was pretty limited, little checkpoints, not a lot of infrastructure. They really didn't know how to control their borders in terms of a real global market. They had infrastructure for building all kinds of interesting military stuff, guns, landmines, tanks, and other stuff that was also called dual use, and we'll talk about that. And of course, everybody was interested in that stuff not falling into the wrong hands.
What is an AK-47 dual use again?
Well, there are actually three categories, which I'm not going to get into all that, but military, dual use, and nuclear. But let's talk about dual use briefly. This is a